Let me tell you, if you ever want to see how fast a Minnesota neighborhood can go from "hey there, neighbor" to "every man for himself," just wait until you're the only guy with power during the coldest blizzard in 3 decades. Seriously, the day I heard that old generator roar to life in my backyard, I thought I was the hero, the family man, the guy who came prepared. Turns out, I was also about to become public enemy number one, and I'm still not sure if I should laugh or cry about it. My name's Vincent Sinclair. And trust me, I was just a regular guy, 3 years into living in this Riverside Meadows subdivision in Bloomington. Think quiet cul-de-sacs, perfectly measured lawns, and more rules than sense. You know the type, when the February 2026 polar vortex decided to camp out right on top of the Twin Cities. The meteorologists? They were losing their minds on TV, basically yelling at us through the screen. This is the storm of the century. Minus 40 degrees. Power outages. People could die. And I'm sitting there, 2 kids under 10 and a wife who grew up in California and still thinks anything below 30 is dangerously cold, thinking, okay, this is serious. So, yeah, I went a little overboard. 2 days before the storm hit, I drove all the way out to Edina, found the grumpiest equipment supplier in town, and dropped $8,000, on this absolute beast of a generator. 22 kilowatts, natural gas, automatic switch, the whole 9 yards. The installer looked at me like I was prepping for the apocalypse. I just nodded, like, buddy, you'll thank me when the lights go out. By the time that first snowflake hit my driveway on Wednesday night, my family was covered. Generator ready, full tank of gas, everything wired up and humming, and I'm feeling pretty smug, until Thursday morning. Because that's when it hit. I mean, the temperature dropped 20 degrees in less than 2 hours, and the wind was so loud it sounded like the roof might rip off. You know that feeling when you walk outside and the air physically hurts? That was all day. Power lasted until maybe 3 in the afternoon, flickered twice, then just gone. My kids, God bless them, both gasped from the living room like we'd been launched into space. And then, right on cue, 15 seconds of total silence, my generator kicked in. Lights back on, furnace rumbling, fridge humming. We were golden. Meanwhile, outside, it looked like the opening shot of some apocalyptic movie. Now, if this was a happy story, that would have been the end, right? Family safe, generator humming, me enjoying my coffee while the world froze. Except that's not how Riverside Meadows works. Because, Friday morning, who comes tromping through 2 feet of snow into my front yard but Patricia Hallbrook, HOA president, queen of the purple parka, and, in her own mind, absolute ruler of our suburban kingdom. She looked like a grape with anger management issues. No joke, the kind of woman who can write you up for having your trash cans visible from the street at 7:05 a.m. I mean, she once threatened to fine me because my grass was half an inch too long. And now here she is, braving Arctic winds, face pinched and red, marching up to my front door like she's leading troops at Gettysburg. I barely had time to open the door before she started. Vincent, we need to talk about that generator. Not good morning. Not, hey, how's your family holding up? Just straight to business. And her business was, apparently, making sure no one in this neighborhood ever enjoys anything. Turns out, the generator was unacceptably loud. She could hear it from her house, and it had ruined the peace and enjoyment of her home. Now, I don't know if you've ever tried to argue with someone who genuinely believes noise regulations matter more than hypothermia. But let me tell you, it's like yelling into a blizzard. I tried, believe me. I pointed out the governor had literally declared a state of emergency. I explained my generator was the only thing between my kids and a house full of busted pipes. She just thrust this violation notice in my face and told me I had 24 hours to turn it off or face a $500 per day fine. My wife, Sarah, bless her, read the notice and nearly spit her coffee across the kitchen. She wants us to freeze for her peace and enjoyment? Her house doesn't even have power. And she was right. Patricia was burning wood just to keep warm. It was pure theater. But you know what really gets me? The woman actually thought I was going to cave. I decided then and there, absolutely not. Let her write all the fines she wanted. I wasn't about to let my kids freeze to death just to please the HOA queen. But I was not ready for how far this woman would go. Next morning, I wake up early and something's wrong. The house is a little too cold. I check the clock, dark. Generator isn't running. Outside, The cold hit me like a punch in the gut. When I reached the backyard, I found the gas line to the generator had been disconnected, just dangling in the wind. Someone had come into my yard in the middle of the night, in -40, and sabotaged my generator. That was the moment the whole thing went from ridiculous HOA feud to someone's actually risking our lives. I got the gas line hooked back up, numb hands shaking, and fired up the generator again. But I knew. I didn't have proof, but I knew who'd done it. Sarah knew too. So I called the police, filed a report, was told there were too many emergencies for them to send someone out. Yeah, that happened. Apparently, in the middle of a disaster, property crime drops to the bottom of the list. So, I did what any paranoid suburban dad would do. Spent 2 hours setting up a security camera, chained the access panels, hung a big warning sign. Area under surveillance. Trespassers prosecuted. That was Saturday. Sunday morning, motion sensor goes off. There she is, Patricia herself, standing at my back fence, reading the sign, then shuffling away. It was like a low-budget episode of Dateline. But then things got weird. Sunday afternoon, I got an email, emergency HOA meeting, subject, my generator. Attendance, mandatory if you wish to present a defense. They even scheduled it at Patricia's house, which, let me tell you, was as cold inside as it was out. I walk in Monday morning, all 5 board members in parkas huddled around a lantern. They looked miserable, which, honestly, was almost satisfying. Patricia opened the meeting with this big speech about community standards and unapproved modifications. Donald, the lawyer, rattled off the bylaws. Jennifer, the treasurer's lips were so blue from cold, she could barely speak. I tried to reason with them, pointed out that in the real world, emergencies sometimes mean you bend the rules. You'd have thought I was suggesting human sacrifice. Susan, the only halfway reasonable one, floated this compromise about only running the generator during daylight hours. I asked her if she wanted my family to freeze overnight. She had nothing. In the end, they stuck to their guns, shut off the generator, or else. I emailed back, nope, not happening. Sent everything to my lawyer, Marcus, and settled in for the long haul. Then, something incredible happened. The storm broke. My neighbor Frank knocked on my door, tough guy, big heart, and said, "You're not alone in this, Vincent. Patricia's been driving us nuts for years. We're getting her out." Next thing I know, Frank's passing around a petition to kick Patricia out as HOA president. Turns out, I wasn't the only one she'd harassed. Roses the wrong color, Halloween decorations up a day too long, you name it. Even better, I started getting anonymous notes in my mailbox, like one from Carol Armstrong down the street. "Thank you for giving us hope." That one went right on the fridge. Of course, the HOA doubled down, fined me $7,000, threatened lawsuits, demanded I remove the generator. Marcus, my lawyer, said it might go to court, but we actually had a shot because of the emergency. And while we geared up for battle, Frank's petition took off. 68 signatures, special election called, Patricia ranting on Facebook. Word spread, local news got hold of the story. Suddenly, I was giving interviews about Generatorgate. The community, it turned out, was on my side. The special election was a blowout. Frank Patterson president, Patricia out on her ear. The new board, first thing, wiped all my fines, rewrote the rules, and made sure backup generators were allowed. I thought, finally peace. But, plot twist, the police called me a few weeks later. Detective Sarah Foster wanted to talk about the tampering. Turns out, Patricia had gone full supervillain. She'd sabotaged not just my generator, but 6 others in the neighborhood, including one powering medical equipment for a family with an infant and a grandmother on oxygen. The evidence was overwhelming. Security cam footage, footprints, tool marks. In June, they arrested Patricia. In September, the trial. I testified, so did others. The jury found her guilty on all counts: criminal mischief, trespassing, reckless endangerment. She got 6 months in jail, the rest on probation, plus restitution and a divorce from her husband, who'd finally had enough. The neighborhood? Transformed. The new board cared about real problems, not trash can placement. People smiled again. I still run my generator once a month, just in case. And when the first snowstorm hit that December, Frank stopped by, smiled, said, "Still ready for anything, huh?" Damn right I am. Looking back, this wasn't just about a generator or one insane blizzard. It was about what kind of community we wanted to be, one ruled by fear and petty authority, or one where common sense and kindness went out. And yeah, it cost me a lot of money, sleep, and a few years off my life. But in the end, the whole neighborhood won. People learned they could push back, that the rules are there to serve us, not the other way around. That when someone forgets that, it's okay. No, it's necessary to stand up and remind them. Patricia Holbrook learned that the hard way. She thought power meant being above the rules, that enforcing them was more important than the people they were meant to protect. Turns out, she was wrong. Power comes with responsibility, and when you abuse it, well, sometimes justice shows up wearing a parka and holding a petition. So, let me ask you, where do you draw the line? When does following the rules stop making sense, especially when lives are at stake? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Ever tangled with an HOA? Or had to stand up for what you knew was right? Tell your story. Because at the end of the day, rules matter, but people matter more. And when we remember that, maybe, just maybe, the world gets a little warmer, even in Minnesota.